Tonight on the program, all you need to know about Thailand's full reopening on November 1st. Experts in the tourism sector share their views on whether it's the right time to reopen to foreign travelers.
Because you were arrested.
An exclusive interview with an American who claimed he was duped in the used rubber glove scandal and wrongly accused of kidnapping. And how different cultures have shaped a YouTuber into a new person. สวัสดีค่ะ I'm Nad Bunag and welcome to This Week with Thai PBS World. November 1st, which is only a few days away, is definitely a big day for Thailand as the country will fully reopen its borders to foreign tourists as previously announced by Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha. So let's give you a recap of what you really need to know about the full reopening to international arrivals on November 1st. So first of all, what you're going to see right behind me are the 45 countries and a territory that are allowed to enter Thailand from November 1st without quarantine. So these are the countries that are allowed to enter Thailand, but even though you're not on the list, that doesn't mean you're not allowed to enter Thailand at all. But you can enter Thailand, but you have to go through state quarantine as well. And these are the entry requirements for those who wish to travel into Thailand from November 1st. One of them, of course, is you have to come from a low-risk country as announced by the government. Apart from this, you have to be fully inoculated with a minimum of 2 doses of a recognized vaccine. Apart from this, you also need to have negative test results from an RT-PCR test as well. So these are the guidelines that you need to know if you're going to enter Thailand. And apart from this, let's have a look at the full reopening map on November 1st. So apart from the 4 provinces that have already reopened to tourists under its sandbox scheme, there are more provinces that will reopen on November 1st as well, which includes Bangkok and other provinces such as Chonburi, Chiang Mai, Trat, Prachuap Khiri Khan as well. But keep in mind that most of the provinces will not open the entire province to foreign visitors, but rather only some of the touristic towns, beaches, and islands that will be open. For example, if you can see on the map, only Got Samui, Got Phangan, and Got Tao are painted in green, but the mainland Surat Thani province is not. With the government stating that they are so ready to welcome international travelers once again. But if we really talk to the local people, especially the volunteers working in this field, some people agree, some people disagree as well. And what are the existing concerns about the opening? Let's find out more in this report.
Just a few days, life will return to the streets of Bangkok as fully vaccinated and COVID-free travelers will be able to enter Thailand again without the need for quarantine. Of course, people, especially those in the tourism sector, are more than happy about this development. On the other hand, there is some concern about what impact this would have on the pandemic. To get an idea, our team, Thai PBS World, talked to volunteers working in the field.
What do you think about Thailand's reopening plan?
Well, finally it's happening. I mean, it's been a very, very long time for everybody, for this country. Very, very difficult. So finally, we're on the way out. This country needs to get back on their feet. The people need to get back on their feet.
ส่วนตัวเนี่ยผมเห็นด้วยนะครับเพราะว่าอยากจะให้เศรษฐกิจเนี่ยมันกลับมาฟื้นตัวโดยเร็ว
While some volunteers working in the field agree Thailand has to move on and it will be the key to saving the economy, they appear reluctant to say the reopening is really safe for everyone, especially when vaccination isn't going at a satisfactory rate.
Of course, the game changer in all of this is the vaccination.
ต้องถามรัฐบาลนะครับว่ามาตรการรองรับพร้อมแค่ไหนมาตรการป้องกันดีแค่ไหนอย่าลืมครับว่าโอกาสที่ระลอก 5 การจะกลับมาแพร่เชื้อระบาดอีกครั้งมันมีโอกาสเกิดขึ้นแน่นอนครับ
If you look at the stats now, about 40% is fully vaccinated. That is actually not enough. 70% is kind of what everybody's aiming for.
วัคซีนอยากให้กระจายลงมาสู่พี่น้องประชาชนที่ ปกติด้วยนะครับไม่ใช่ว่า ไปมุ่งเน้นในเรื่องของผู้สูงอายุหรือว่ากลุ่มเสี่ยงอย่างเดียวนะครับพี่น้องประชาชนที่ร่างกายปกติเนี่ยก็อยากได้วัคซีนมาเหมือนกัน
หากมันเกิดเหตุการณ์อย่างเดิมขึ้นทุกอย่างต้องไม่แย่เหมือนเดิมนะครับอันนี้คือความหวังของเส้นได้และความหวังของคนทุกคนครับ
Without an effective vaccination plan, the deadly virus will always trap countries, including Thailand, in this catch-22 situation. Some volunteers, however, simply view that a decision just has to be made.
At some point, we need to stop counting the amount of infections. A lot of people can be infected but don't get sick or don't get heavy symptoms. That's where the key lies.
So you just never are going to be 100% ready, and that will be the same feeling November 1st, or even if it was next year, November 1st. We're not quite ready. So you have to go ahead and you have to just jump the gun and just go ahead and do it.
Well, in an attempt to find out whether Thailand is ready to reopen to international travelers, recently Thai Deshikit Tiranan had a chance to talk to the tourism experts on this topic. So what did they say on this issue?
Well, Ned, both Sitiwat Shiwaratanaporn, who is the ATA president, and Wirot Siprasertnan, who's the PGA president, of course, welcome the move to reopen the country so that businesses catering to tourists can resume and recover. Although COVID-19 infection numbers remain high, they have dropped from the peak in August, and since then, there have been fewer than 10,000 a day. Most recent and current infections are being contracted domestically, with hardly any from abroad, and even those are in quarantine. So it's high time for the country to reopen, according to them, but not without some concerns and a clear belief that the situation will not return to normal anytime soon, with only a small number of tourists at first. So let's hear from Wirot first.
You are willing to comply with other measure or not. But it's not the atmosphere like regular tourism. I think it's a concern there.
Are you confident that the foreign tourists will come back?
Maybe just only the business who have something about the personnel issue to have the must to allow to Thailand. I'm not sure that will become in this period. Maybe we have to wait and see next year. All the businesses that are related to the outer tourism industry must be ready too. Like the airline are ready for the schedule to Thailand once a week. Once a week is not enough.
It is no wonder a lot of tour guides have lost their jobs since last year. How have a lot of you managed?
We try to demand helping from the government to provide us for the training courses and some allowance or some more money to have for the transportation or the farm expenses.
A lot of Thai people express concerns that, we're reopening the country and we're going to get all these tourists coming in with a quarantine and there might be new outbreaks of COVID. What do you think about that?
When we consider from the case of the Phuket sample, as we knew that the problem of the pandemic will be the infected from the local people. Or inside, not from the outside. The important thing is for the health ministry and the government to try to make the measure to be assured for the Thai people.
Sitiwat of the ATA, meanwhile, emphasized the need to reopen for the sake of the economy.
ภาพรวมของเศรษฐกิจเนี่ยมันไปไม่ได้ก็จำเป็นต้องเปิดนะครับคิดว่าก็ไม่พร้อมก็ต้องทำให้พร้อมครับตามไทม์ไลน์ของหน่วยงานภาครัฐเนี่ยเขาคิดว่าเขาก็ศึกษากลั่นกรองตรวจสอบตรวจเช็คแล้วก็น่าจะอยู่ในระดับหนึ่งแล้วแหละนะครับถ้าตัวเลขรู้สึกลดน้อยต่ำลงเนี่ยก็เป็นน่ายินดี นะครับสำหรับวัคซีนก็พยายามขยันอยู่ พยายามทำอยู่ตอนนี้ก็หวังว่าวัคซีนฉีดให้ทั่วจริงๆนะฮะอันนี้คือวัคซีนเป็นหัวใจสำคัญนะฮะแต่ละประเทศก็มองอะไรแล้วแต่มองวัคซีนฉีดไปเท่าไหร่ละนั่นเป็นโจทย์ที่จะตอบ
It is already a given that the tourism sector has been hit very hard by the pandemic. And he said that tour agencies were hit harder compared to the hospitality and transport sectors. He also said that without the foreign tourists, domestic tourism has helped sustain the industry to a certain extent.
คนไทยเที่ยวกันเองเนี่ยก็ระดับหนึ่งก็ช่วยได้ระดับหนึ่งแหละนะจะช่วยได้มากมายก็ไม่น่าจะใช่เพราะว่าเดิมทีเนี่ยนักท่องเที่ยวที่ต่างชาติที่เข้ามาท่องเที่ยวประเทศไทยเนี่ยปีหนึ่งเกือบ40 ล้านคนนี้เนี่ยเพราะฉะนั้นอาศัยคนไทยเนี่ยบางคนไทยก็อยู่ในจำนวนน้อยอยู่โดยเฉพาะคนไทยเนี่ยณเวลานี้เนี่ยเขาก็อาจจะไม่เคยเต็มที่เท่าไหร่นักบางทีก็ยังไม่เปิดยังล็อกดาวน์อยู่จะไปเที่ยวเมืองนี้เมืองนั้นเนี่ยบางทีก็ยังไปไม่ได้นักท่องเที่ยวจะเข้ามาท่องเที่ยวประเทศไทยเนี่ยขึ้นอยู่ทั้งคู่สองขาครับแล้วฝั่งเขาแล้วฝั่งเราประเทศนั้นพร้อมหรือยังเขาก็มองเราประเทศนี้เนี่ยยังมีโรคระบาดอยู่ประมาณนี้เนี่ยเขารับได้ไหมการเปิดประเทศเนี่ยคิดว่าก็ทุกคนก็ต้องมีความหวังนะครับจะคาดหวังว่าจะเข้ามาเยอะแยะมากมายให้เหมือนเดิมจริงๆแล้วค่อนข้างจะยากนิดหนึ่งต้องค่อยเป็นค่อยไปครับบางประเทศก็ยังไม่พร้อมที่จะมาท่องเที่ยวประเทศไทยเพราะฉะนั้นต้องใช้เวลานิดหนึ่งปลายปี65แล้วเนี่ยถ้าหากว่าแต่ละประเทศก็เข้ามาท่องเที่ยวประเทศไทยได้แล้วเนี่ยปี66ก็น่าจะเกิดให้มันพร้อมเหมือนเดิมได้
So as you can see, the tourism sector is welcoming the reopening, but they remain realistic that things won't get back to normal anytime soon and that it may take at least a year. Of course, it's definitely a start to the arrival of this huge but dying industry. Back to you, Nat.
All right, thank you. And that's Hattai's interview with the experts on Thailand's full reopening. And recently, CNN and many of the international media has reported on a scam with tens of millions of used dirty rubber gloves being exported to the United States from Thailand. But the case is not simple at all, as an American businessman who reportedly got deceived and lost up to $3 million was arrested by Thai police for allegedly abducting a Taiwanese involved in all this back in March. He later got released on bail and went back to the States in August and has most recently talked to the media exposing the scam and insisting on his innocence. And on this issue, Hattai had a chance to interview with this American who exposed the truth about the rubber glove scandal. His name is Louis Siskin.
We learned that you were allegedly duped in the used glove scandal by a Thai firm called Patty the Room, but there seem to be more parties involved. Can you shed some light on that?
Patty the Room and scammers like him like to avoid Asian jurisdiction by having a third party in a third country. So if the money went to Taiwan, to Collections Enterprise, Yu Ching Wen's company, as the exclusive representative for Patty the Room. So when I first came to Thailand and tried to make a complaint, that was what I ran into. You didn't send any money to Thailand. There's no crime in Thailand.
Right.
And by design, that's how these scammers operate, to try and avoid jurisdictions.
What was really going on with the kidnap case earlier this year? Were you actually involved because you were arrested for that?
Yeah, lies were told to the media and to the world, such as that I was in the video in the restaurant. Vincent's lawyer opened an account on Twitter where he interspersed pictures of me from the arrest or from Twitter or from Instagram with the restaurant video. And then he circled somebody in a black hat and a black mask and to imply that it was me. I didn't know about it until later after that incident. I met with Vincent for dinner later that night. At his request, there's a photograph of it thank goodness, of him in the restaurant. And this is at 7 p.m. that same day. Vincent claims to have been beaten by 5 ex-military members until he was almost unconscious. You can clearly see that there's no marks anywhere on him, and he's laughing, smiling, drinking whiskey 3.5 hours later. Different police are saying different things, like, I never filed a fraud report. I filed a fraud report. There's a public prosecutor assigned to it. I didn't escape Thailand. I went through the Thai legal process like any other person. I had travel permission unrestricted from the judge to leave.
Why do you think that is? Why were you drawn into all of this?
Because there's a lot of money for them at stake. There's a retired military general living in Lockbury that is behind all of this. It's the power behind Patty. Now they claim to say, oh, Patty ripped them off also, but there's one really interesting thing that the public should look at. Why didn't they make a criminal complaint against Patty when they were the ones who did send money to Thailand?
You came to Thailand and saw the factory. So what have you found? Where were the used gloves from?
I don't know where they came from, but somebody imported medical waste into Thailand. Listen, I have a criminal history in the past, right? I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's okay. It was a huge mistake for me, and people do different things at different times in their life. But this is something different. What's happening here is somebody is taking the time to wash and dye medical waste, put it in Sri Trang boxes and ship it to the United States. That's medical terrorism.
What are you trying to achieve? I mean, do you want to clear your name, or do you have any lawsuits in the works?
Yes, we have lawsuits. We're suing Newsflare right now because we know already that Newsflare would only accept that story with all those lies that I was a military member. They didn't even have my age right, that I was still a drug dealer, that I was in the restaurant video.
Do you have any evidence to support your claim to convince us to believe your side of the story?
Yes, absolutely. I have a photograph of Vincent Nguyen at the restaurant. I have a video of Vincent Nguyen in a factory that he claims is Sri Trang. I have letters from Sri Trang saying that it's all fraud. The lot numbers are fraud. They have nothing to do with Collections Enterprise or Patty. I also have a letter from Sri Trang saying that they were previously damaged by Patty and Collections Enterprise before me and had already reported it to CST.
What prompted you to share this story? And it was suggested that it was an act of revenge. So is it?
Well, first, the press came to me because of the arrest. They did a perp walk. So CNN came to me. I didn't go to them. The Royal Thai Police are actually, in the way they handled my case, are the ones that brought the global press. And as far as revenge against who? I love Thailand. The Thai people were great to me. I love the food. In America, Thailand is the dream vacation for many people.
And the Thai lawyer also told Thai PBS World that Mr. Siskin will come back to Thailand really soon to fight the charges against him. And now let's have a look at other stories in our weekly roundup.
Thailand's nighttime curfew and the ban on serving alcoholic drinks in restaurants will be lifted in Bangkok and some other provinces from next Monday, November 1st. The curfew from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. will remain in place in only 7 provinces, including Chanthaburi, Tak, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Narathiwat, Pattani, Yala, and Songkhla. Meanwhile, Bangkok, Krabi, Phang Nga, and Phuket are the only provinces where alcoholic drinks can be served in eateries. Most Thai schools are reopening both fully and partially on Monday, November 1st. To open, all schools must pass the Thai Stop COVID Plus or TSC Plus assessment and report follow-up assessments via the MOE COVID platform. For schools in the dark red and red provinces, 85% of all the teachers and staff must be inoculated with at least 2 doses of vaccine. The Thai government had promised to spend up to 100 million baht to entice 2 global music stars, Lisa of Blackpink and opera singer Andrea Bocelli, to perform at the New Year countdown celebrations. South Korea's YG Entertainment has responded, however, that Lisa will not be attending. The Tourism Authority of Thailand, or TAT, released a statement which says it acknowledges and respects the decision.
And now let's move on to some lighter stories. During the pandemic, a lot of medical supplies, especially PPE suits, were in short supply. To solve this issue, many of these soft drink bottles have been recycled into these suits. Let's find out more in this report.
18 PPE bottles at the back of me are able to make one of these that are able to help doctors all over Thailand in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. So what better way to help than using your plastic that is in the back of your kitchen and make a gown like this and help out?
During the ongoing pandemic, with medical supplies in short supply, soft drink bottles can help by being recycled into PPE suits, which medics need to help protect them from contracting the virus while saving lives in hospitals all over Thailand. We spoke to Meta Sentong from Less Plastic Thailand, who said that donations of water bottles are being dropped off to be made into two types of PPE suits.
ก็ชุด PPE นะครับที่สำหรับป้องกันด่านหน้าเนี่ยจะจริงๆมี2ประเภทนะครับก็คือแบบที่ใช้ครั้งเดียวแล้วก็ทิ้งไปเลยนะครับซึ่งพวกนี้ก็จะราคาถูกแต่ว่าก็จะเป็นขยะติดเชื้อที่เราต้องคอยจัดการนะครับอีกประเภทหนึ่งจะเป็นแบบที่ใช้แล้วซักสะอาดใช้ซ้ำได้อย่างตัวอย่างนี้นะครับก็คือจะใช้ซ้ำได้20 ครั้ง
These PPE suits, after completing their use cycle, can be used for other purposes such as gardening or housekeeping. PET bottles are clear plastic bottles which are used for 90% of bottled drinks, such as sodas and green tea. These bottles will have a 1 and a triangle, which under is written PET or PETE. Every first Saturday of the month, people come to throw away their recyclable waste at Siam Piwat's Collection Center, located at the back of the Paragon shopping mall, where customers and the public can recycle 8 types of waste, including hard plastic, milk cartons, and PET bottles.
จะเห็นว่า1 เดือนที่ผ่านมาเนี่ยเรารณรงค์ในเรื่องของการเอาพลาสติกเพชรนะคะมาทำชุด PPE ให้กับคุณหมอและพยาบาลที่ต่อสู้กับเรื่องกับโรคโควิดอยู่นะซึ่งอันนี้เนี่ยก็เป็นสิ่งที่เราทำกับเลสพลาสติกมาโดยตลอดแล้วก็จะเห็นว่าเราเริ่มทำประมาณสักต้นยังไม่ถึงเดือนเลยนะตั้งแต่ต้นเดือนสิงหาถึงวันนี้เนี่ยเราได้ชุดออกมาประมาณ258 ชุดนะคะก็ถือว่าค่อนข้างเยอะในจำนวนปริมาณขยะที่เราเก็บได้ประมาณสักประมาณเกือบ200 โล
18 PET bottles are used to make one PPE suit, which can help medics all over Thailand to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic. So what better way to help than to use plastic that's laying around your kitchen to make a gown like this? Stephanie Adair for Thai PBS World.
And now let's move on to Home Away, where we explore the lives of expats living in Thailand. We're still talking to Forrest Lee, who's an American YouTuber in Thailand, where he will talk about how traveling around the world has shaped him into a completely new person and why he likes to be in Thailand and to surround himself with Thai people.
Hi, my name is Forrest.
Forrest Lee has traveled to many parts of the world, but he recently decided to start creating content based in Thailand and nearby areas. His channel has almost 23,000 subscribers. The majority of them are from the US, Australia, and Europe, who enjoy content about Thailand and, of course, like watching him.
What's a good YouTuber supposed to be like? You're asking the wrong person. I am not a good one. Well, I mean, what a good YouTuber should be like. Somebody that's down to earth, genuine, but also serves as a positive role model and influence. I can only speak for my case. You know, for me, I will be honest with how I feel. For the most part, I will not water things down. You know, and I will be like super honest and tell you how things are going. A lot of the times people do appreciate it. A lot of times people can't take the honesty. They won't like the honesty. But no matter what, whether you like it or not, like, I'm always going to be 100% with you. I think that's really important of how to be a good influence, you know, as a YouTuber.
During the peak period of COVID-19 in Thailand, Forrest did volunteer work, giving away food and donating money to charity. He said he has done that for the love of the country. I wonder what he likes the most and the least about Thailand.
What I like the most? That's easy. The people and the culture. You know, I mean, Thai culture is naturally, generally very hospitable people. You know, it's all about giving, just being very selfless. And then it definitely shows and reflects from the Thai people. You know, even though there's a huge language barrier, maybe their English is not so good. My Thai is far from proficient or far from good, but you can tell from just body language and the hospitality that everybody smiles. They're willing to help you out. They're very like kind-hearted, genuine people. You know, and there's a reason why it's called the land of smiles. So because of them being so awesome and so nice and so wonderful, that makes me, you know, it reflects back and makes me want to take care of them and be nice and make sure they're okay as well too. What is the worst? I think the part that kind of concerns me the most is, you know, just, you know, I kind of wish, you know, the government can do the vaccine rollout a bit more efficient.
When asked where his favorite place in Thailand is, Forrest promptly replied, "Right here," meaning Bangkok, and he considers it his home. So, there must be something about this city.
It's something about being here in Bangkok. I've been coming here to Bangkok since 2017, and you know, there's something about this city that makes me want to, you know, that drives me more and more. You know, that makes me want to not be complacent. You know, there's a lot of things going on: finance, the arts, great food, traffic, and because a combination of those energies definitely pushes me to, you know, be more creative, to be less complacent, to work harder, to make more money. You know, it pushes you hard. And that's why I'm a big believer of, you know, you are a product of your environment. So that's the reason why I love this. And you see, this is also a very global city too. You know, it's not, you know, you have Thai people all over, you know, Thailand that move here to Bangkok for work. You have people, international expats all over the world, Africa, Europe, States, Australia, Canada, we all come here. So this is a global melting pot. And it's good to have like an exchange of ideas and backgrounds from a lot of people.
He's lived in Bangkok during the good and the bad times. Even when Thailand was hit hard by the latest wave of coronavirus, most places and businesses closed due to the COVID lockdown. However, Forrest chose to stay here instead of returning to his hometown in California and to live a normal life over there.
You may think it's boring. I love it here, you know. But so to answer your question, I have one of my good friends, Eric. Both him and I are American, and he kind of talked about how like, oh, like I don't want to go back to the States like ever again. The culture, the society has changed from how him and I have grown up in America. You know, even though we're foreigners, we're outsiders living here in Bangkok, Thailand, we would much prefer living in this type of society than back in America. This is so hard. This is hard to answer because only expats will understand like what I'm talking about. Ever since I came here in 2017, and when I left to go back home, I would always think about Thailand and just it's something about this country that makes me much happier, much more productive.
And it looks like he's not going to fly back home to the US anytime soon. And that wraps up tonight's edition of This Week with Thai PBS World. Join us every Fridays at 11 p.m. only on Thai PBS. And don't forget to follow us on social media as well as our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates as well as analyses. And we'll be leaving you tonight with cute images of a blind date for chimpanzees. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you next Friday. สวัสดีค่ะ